Hey there, Mustangs. Welcome back to Canard TV. This week we'll be working with Habit 2. Mr. Lardner is going to take us through that exercise. But before we get started, one of the universe's greatest jokes. Here we go. And today I think we've got a bit of a history joke for you. Here we go. What do Alexander the Great and Dora the Explorer share? They have the same middle name. Something you probably didn't think about before now. All right, one of the universe's greatest jokes. Let's move on to Habit 2, the second of our private victories. We're still in the roots of our 7-habit tree, and this habit is called Begin with the End in Mind. And to take us through Habit 2, we have Mr. Lardner. Mr. Lardner, oh, wait a minute. Is that Bob Ross, the famous painter?
Hello, Mr. Morrill. This is Bob Ross. Mr. Lardner is unavailable today, so I'm filling in for Habit 3, Begin with the End in Mind. So what we have here is a lovely picture of the Empire State Building, which we're going to be painting today. You're welcome to follow along and paint along with me, because, you know, everybody could use a painting friend. So we're starting with some black here, and this is very, 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 very dark black. Okay, that's the name of the color of the painting. So what we got here first, we want to draw the outside of the lines and be very, very certain of your brush strokes, because you can do it. Now, the Empire State Building was built in the 30s and was 1,250 feet tall. But when they began, they couldn't just start at the top, you know, this top right here. They had to begin with the end in mind. So you have a foundation that's 55 feet deep, built in the solid granite down here, with columns going up inside the building. And that's what you had. So we've got some columns going up. This is inside the building. And you have a very firm foundation, because you need to begin with the end in mind, right? So let's build some, we've got some happy columns here, some very nice columns, and every column needs a friend. So we're going to add a few more friends. You decide. I mean, we can get crazy and add a couple extra columns, but these support the whole structure. And while they were building this building, they were building 4.5 stories per week. They were getting pretty crazy in New York City. All right, so we've got our beautiful, beautiful building right here. And the outside of the building is actually called the facade. Right, that's the outside of the building, that's the face. Probably a fancy French word. And a facade can also refer to your outward appearance. Your facade is what you show to people. Obviously, my facade is breathtaking, but it's what you show to the people around you. Same with a building. So limestone was on the outside of the Empire State Building, and on the inside was this beautiful granite and marble floors, and this mural on the ceiling painted with gold paint. This is not gold, this is very dark black. And during the 1960s, they actually covered up the inside of the Empire State Building. They covered up the beautiful murals, and they put in some really tacky tile, because all the other buildings were doing it, so why wouldn't they? They kind of fell into that building peer pressure, if you know what I mean. So it wasn't until recently that they took down all those tiles, and they did a much better job at showing the true facade of the Empire State Building, because they wanted it to be true to who it really was as a building. So I'm almost done with my beautiful painting here. You can see how it just emerges from the canvas. It really was there all along. I just brought it to life, right? Beginning with the end in mind, because you always need to have a plan. So if we think about yourself as a building, because that's what you're building, is you're building your future building, right? Right. We have some reflection questions for you as you talk with your ELO, as you call it, as you continue building your beautiful building here. Imagine you are a building. Who or what, if we think about the foundation here, who is in your foundation? What is your foundation? Is it your beliefs, your values? maybe your family and friends. And as you're labeling, if you're painting along with me, because everyone needs a painting friend, go ahead and label some of the people in your foundation. Here's one of my friends in my foundation. And then also my other values might go in here as well in my foundation. And the columns that support your building through tough times, these are also a symbol of people or things in your life that can help you through the storms that you might face in your building. And then the next question is, your facade, what you show to people on the outside, does it match what you have on the inside? Or do you put forward a fake facade, a fake image, similar to what they did to the Empire State Building in the 1960s? It's a very important question. Does what's on the outside match what's on the inside? Because we all want to be true to ourselves, especially when we're artists. And a few more questions for you. Beginning with the end in mind is always thinking about, okay, your life and your plans, your projects, even down to your homework assignments. What are some of these plans, maybe getting onto the golf team or the swimming team, or getting your point shoes in ballet, or learning how to become a famous artist like myself? How would you build those plans and begin with the end in mind and think about your goal and then work backwards? See, with this painting, I already had this beautiful painting in mind, but I worked backwards and I had a plan to start with my foundation and then build up from there. So, at this point, with your ELO, share your beautiful painting of your building and then talk about how you are building your future by starting with the end in mind. This has been Painting Buildings with Bob Ross, in for Mr. Lardner. It was such a lovely time with you. I'm glad that you stopped by. Thank you so much for coming. And I believe it's now back to Mr. Morrill. Mr. Morrill, sir?
All right, wow. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you so much for being here. That was incredible. Gosh, he has such a soothing voice, you know, just calms me down. Well, that was Habit 2. Guys, we'll be back next week with Habit 3. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.